Okay, welcome, Wicked Smart listeners, to another solo cast, actually. So this Wicked Smart episode is going to be a solo cast. So you got me. You got to deal with me today. Um, I actually was just thinking through the best thing to relay to you guys as my audience at this time of the year, kind of wrapping up the first quarter of 24. You're going to see this in March. So much has changed since 2013, which is, keep in mind my story now. If you're a new listener, let me just recap quickly. I get hammered by the 2008 crash, and then it took from February of 08 till February of 12 to really just get out of my own way mentally, right? This business is so much mental and mindset. So by 13, I was in the trenches doing some creative real estate deals. I did a whole bunch at the end of the year. Between August and December, I think we did 12 or 13. When I say we, it was me at the time, right? It was just me. And I think back to a few things. So much has changed since then. So a couple things come to mind right off the bat, just by me saying so much has changed. Number one, because so much has changed, if someone doesn't have experience, and I'm saying all the way back to 08 or pre-08, and most certainly since 2013, because that's over 10 years ago, then frankly, I would run, meaning I would not attach yourself or align yourself with a mentor or education program or anything that doesn't date back at least 10 years, at least. And I'd rather see it before the 08 crash, so you know someone has weathered enough market cycles to help you, because what is one constant in the market that I always talk about? The market constantly changes. I don't care what you do, okay? So that's number one. Number two, I was thinking back to it because, real simply put, the vast majority of people, for me, coming out of the crash, was saying, don't buy. Right? Even in 13, you are crazy to be buying. Yet I stacked up some deals just those first 12 or 13. Forget the 25 or 30 the next year. But I stacked up those 12 or 13 deals to parlay now what's in hindsight called our 3-day federally trademark system. But I stacked up about $1.2 million worth of 3 paydays. That's pretty significant, guys. And to do that in a market where everyone was going, oh, no, you can't buy. And it reminds me of now, even though so much has changed, here we are 11 years later, and it reminds me of that time, because people are saying now, oh, you better not buy, the market's going to crash. It's crazy. So just like I wouldn't align myself with someone or a group that did not predate some of these things, I also be super careful, if you're studying any kind of material, and quite frankly, it could be outside of real estate, but let's just talk real estate here. Any kind of material that hasn't been updated, at least since COVID, throw it away if you're relying on it, because it could get you in trouble. Plain and simple, it can get you in trouble legally and otherwise. I'll give you an example. We have done over our Real Estate on Your Terms book during and coming out of COVID, and we are in our fourth of our QLS home study course. And now it's painful, I'll tell you right now, and most people in my space, and I won't mention names, say to me things like, why do you waste your time doing that? It's just a course. In other words, they don't really care what gets out there. We care not only what gets out there, but we care about you doing deals, period, end of story, okay? So as I go throughout my thoughts with you today, and I'm going to try to keep them brief, I'll also give you any resources that I mentioned. So let me start with a free book, right? If you are sitting there listening now, or driving and listening now as a Wicked Smart listener, and you don't, for some reason, have Real Estate on Your Terms, I want to give it to you for free. You don't have to go to Amazon. I'd love you to review it after you read it on Amazon, but I want you to have it for free. And when I say free, that doesn't mean free, and like a lot of people in my space do, you get to the opt-in page and it says, oh, but could you please pay for shipping? Put your credit card in for $7 or $10. It's crazy. I mean free. We will ship it out to you for free. We might even stick some other things in the box. Go to wickedsmartbooks.com/podcast. So I know it came from this, and we can honor the request, okay? wickedsmartbooks.com/podcast. Now, if for some godforsaken reason you don't have the QLS Home Study course now, I don't know why you wouldn't if you're even remotely interested in purchasing your own home in the next year or two creatively without using a bank and signing on it on the line personally. That should be enough reason right there. But more importantly, for you to develop a skill set that you have for life. Nobody can take it from you. The course can be had at smartrealestatecoach.com/PC. It stands for podcast, again, so I know where it came from. PCQLS, right? So smartrealestatecoach.com/PCQLS. Go check it out, guys. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And that course will position you to navigate, bop and weave in any market, up, down, or sideways. And how about right now being the best time for you to do that, because creative financing is in huge demand. As of the time I'm filming this, I'm about to set up and do a workshop. And in that workshop, a couple of my slides have articles in them that we pulled showing you the rise of owner financing, the rise of subject to purchasing, the rise of creative real estate in general. It's not to be missed, guys. This is an opportunity where you can stack deals for the next year or two and set yourself up. If you do it right, this is not a promise. I don't know you, and this is not a guarantee, but if you do it right, you can potentially set yourself up for a decade. That's pretty cool. So, by the way, I spoke with several people just in the last 10 days, who were interested in some shape, form, or fashion in Smart Real Estate Coach. And I'm bringing this up because I just thought of it in respect to mentors and courses that are out there, who said to me, hey, I looked at your stuff and gosh, I didn't even know about you guys. I wish you were more well-known because I was in such and such community and all they really have is a community. Or I took so-and-so's course and it's outdated. Or I took so-and-so's course and it's great. They even get compliments. And I'm not going to mention names and throw people under the bus, guys. They're all in my space. I know them all. Some are friends. But they said, now I'm on my own. I feel naked out there. And that's the problem with real estate. Here's what we do. This should answer in your mind, especially if you're new to the podcast, what the heck, how are these guys different? We do deals, plain and simple. You get a chance to hang out in Slack, should you decide to be in the community, and Slack has, 140 members or so. You can ask me, Nick, my son, Zach, my son-in-law and partner, the coaches, 100 and something other students. You can ask them questions every single day. You can jump on a weekly group call with your group if you're in the community. You can jump on a weekly mastermind call with all the associates if you're in the community. And even if you're not in the community, we have a weekly free Wicked Smart sit down. In fact, this particular week, I'm hosting it. So you get to come on there from 4 o'clock Eastern until 4:50 for free. This is all the support we throw at you. And of course, you have the support hotline via email. So I want you to know that's how we differ. We do deals. Now, let me throw this out. Just a week ago, Zach said to me, hey, let's add up the experience in years in the business, because I'm 33 plus years now. Well, guess how many years we have between myself, Nick, Zach, and the coaches? Almost 75 years. You know what that means? That means when you're doing a deal, even if you're outside the community and you send us it by email. I think I have a call today with someone who sent 3 deals to us and said, I took your course. I'm not an associate, but can I bring some deals your way? And I said, sure, you can. We do that as well, guys. So if you just can't see your way into the community, or you just don't have time, or whatever it is, you're going to run across deals once you understand what we do. After you go through the QLS course, you'll go, oh, I get it. My radar will be up. Even if I'm busy 12, 15 hours a day with a job, I'll find deals and I'll send them to these guys. We can get them done. Okay. All right. Enough of that rant. Now, let's talk. We hitting deals there, right? So many deals since 2013 certainly have been done inside the community. Like so many. I should have pulled the leaderboard and checked. But even when I look at those deals, the deal structures themselves, the avatar of the seller, that has shifted. What did I say at the very beginning of the show? If there's one constant in real estate, it's that the market constantly changes. So if we know that, let's talk about a few shifts that have taken place. Because what's really cool is, again, I'm going to be a little bit redundant here. When you learn how to do deals in the creative real estate space and you go through the QLS home study course, and by the way, it's the only place right now in the United States that you can get certified by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association. I don't know if you knew that one. I'm thinking of these things as I go through here, and I'm sorry for the rant, and this is just going to be top of mind stuff, but you go through the QLS course, you take a little quiz at the end of each one, and at the end, if you're outside the community and you just went through the course, you get certified by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association. If you're an associate or you're in the Jumpstart program with us, which is group coaching, then you get accredited. Now, that's pretty cool. Think of that for a second before I talk about how the deals have structured, the deals and the sellers have shifted. Think about perhaps maybe on your website, on your letterhead, if you use that still, on your email, certainly, on your social media, that you have the logo from CFREA, Creative Financing Real Estate Association. How would that make you a little bit more elevated, authority-looking like, incredible with respect to talking to sellers? I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So I can think of a call I critiqued recently for one of our students, Rick, in New Hampshire. We critique calls, and so you can get better and better and better. That's how we improve your skill set, one of many ways. And in the call, the gentleman, the seller, said to Rick something like, "Oh yeah, I got a bunch of calls," because there are a lot of wholesalers and flippers out there still trying to lowball deals. We don't, but they don't know that yet, right? So he says, "Yeah, I get a lot of calls." Rick said, "Oh really? So were they accredited by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association?" Dead silence on the phone. So you just put that doubt into the seller's mind that anyone else that calls is probably not credible and skillful and able to pull off a deal. So just a side note, again, I just gave you like 3 or 4 reasons that I stacked upon each other why you can and should be going through the QLS home study program. It's a no-brainer, okay? All right, let's talk about how things have shifted just slightly because this will get you thinking, I hope. First of all, free and clear deals. In other words, homes in the United States that are free and clear with no mortgage. And I'm saying the United States, guys, we are in Canada as well, and I'm sure there's people in other countries that have taken our course, but I want to be specific. I don't know the stats in those countries. 33%, about 10 years ago, 33% of the homes were free and clear. It was like 33 point something, but I'm rounding. Right now, it's 39 point something. I'll use 39%. Almost 40% of the homes in the United States are free and clear. And you might say, who cares? All right, well, listen. Let me give you a metric that will work every time you do it properly. You go find a home that has a purchase that's free and clear, and you find a purchase price of $200,000 or higher. Because if it goes lower, the numbers will change. You structure a monthly principal-only payment. Yes, we do that 99.5% of the time, of $950 or more per month, and you structure at least 4-year terms. So you do those 3 metrics. Guess what? All 3 paydays, every time, 6 figures, 100,000 and up every time. Now, if that doesn't get you thinking to, if for no other reason, learn creative financing and learn that piece of it, that's only one way we buy, right? It's like one of 4 ways we buy. Then I'd be a little confused if that doesn't get your attention. So I would encourage you to go through the course just to learn that. Now, why are free and clear so cool? Can you go out and find 10 of those a month? I mean, maybe if you were aggressive, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about finding a few of those per year to change your financial picture. And that number is at 40% right now. Okay? All right. A couple other stats. More than 9 out of every 10. So again, I'm rounding, but I think the stat was like 91.8%, almost 92% of the United States homeowners have mortgages with a rate below 6%. Now, it gets even better. Roughly 4 of every 5 homeowners have mortgages with an interest rate below 5%, and nearly 1/4 of those have a rate below 3%. That was from Redfin, by the way. Below 3%. You might say again, okay, who cares, Chris? Why is that important? Here's why it's important. When you find, and it's happening every week and every month safely in our community, when you find homeowners who want or need to sell their home and they have an underlying rate of 2.5% to 5.5%, you can buy that property subject to. Now, I can tell you there's a lot of people out there, and I won't mention the trader's name. He's credible. He's teaching people how to tie up deals subject to. Great. And if you're one of them, guess what? Come to us, and I'll show you how to exit them. That's the problem. People are getting them tied up, and they're wholesaling those deals. You're giving away a 3 payday, and that trader's, God love him, doesn't know how to do the 3 paydays, right? We trademarked it. So if you know how to tie up a home like that already, and I'm talking to those specifically right now, come see us. I'll show you how to exit those. Don't refer them to us. Do them yourself. Exit them yourself. Pick up the 6 figures yourself. Our average 3 paydays across the North America with our students in our community is like 45 grand low and $250,000 high. I'll talk about a deal in a few seconds as I wrap up the show, where we have we had, as of the time of this filming, it's next week, but you're going to hear this after post-closing. We have a payday 3 coming out of, I think it's like 380 grand. And so you're tying up these deals potentially if you're in that community with one of our competitors, and you're learning how to tie up a deal sub 2, and then you're referring it to someone, you're wholesaling it to someone. What a shame. You have a job. Sorry to say, you have a job. You're on a treadmill. All right. What are some other, I'll give you a couple more just kind of trends/shifts. We now are teaching our students to do longer terms. We used to be very happy from like 2013 till maybe COVID-ish, where we do, 2-year terms were rare, but 3-year terms are pretty common. We're now pushing 5 to 10. Because if we have a 5 or 10-year term, we'll tell you exactly how to do it and how to talk to sellers about it. You should be, I'm not going to say you are, but you should be way less concerned about the market. Way less, especially if you have a home free and clear and you're making monthly principal payments. So that's a big shift that we've done as a community. And just by teaching that skill set, people are getting longer terms. How? By asking properly. That's it. All right. If you're a landlord out there, and I'm speaking specifically to you, if you have one single family, one unit, if you're a landlord, I will tell you that many of our students, most recently in Washington, D.C. was one, bring to us one of their rentals as it turns over. And instead of spending some money and sprucing it up and getting a whopping security deposit and first month's rent, we teach them how to exit rent to own and pick up 3 paydays. The most recent one was by Jose in Washington. Instead of putting a renter in, he picked up 3 paydays worth 83 and change, called $84,000. Do you think maybe perhaps he was a little happier? Instead of getting a security deposit that implies it goes back if they take care of your property, he got a down payment for his payday one somewhere in the $20-something thousand range. It doesn't go back. How do you think he felt after he did that? Perhaps, maybe, just a little better, and his pocketbook was better. All right. I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to wrap up. I'm kind of out of updates and trends, but I mentioned earlier that we have over 70 years experience, so that anyone could help you do a deal if you brought it to the community. There's plenty of help in the deal world here. Now, I said earlier that if you want to bring us deals, we'll usually use you as boots on the ground. Hey, go to the house. Hey, do this. But we're going to run the whole deal from our office, and we're going to give you somewhere between 10 and 20%, depending on your involvement and your skill level. And you could be brand new. We'll still do something with you. We just closed the one in Colorado. We're in Rhode Island. We closed the one in Colorado from a particular individual in our database that didn't want to be an associate. Doesn't have the time and probably doesn't have the resources, or didn't have the confidence in himself to pony up the resources and find the resources. So what did he do? He sent us a deal, and we have him cut into that deal for a percentage, but we're running the whole thing from our office. Okay. Now, if you want to do deals more aggressively and you keep a lot more of the money, we do a revenue share program. And I'm sure many of you know about it. Some of you may not. It's called the associate program. And you have a revenue share with us for a period of time. It's, in my opinion, and I'm biased, of course, it's the best environment to learn in versus, hey, go to the seminar. Hey, take the course. It's all roses. Here's how it works. You go out there and life happens. I will say that every single week, deals come to me. I go, well, that's kind of a cool twist. So that's different. And I've been at it 33 years. So for someone to think they can go take a course and go crush all the deals and never have any mistakes and not leave any money on the table, it's a little far-fetched. So we do have that availability for you inside the community. Now, I'd like you to be able to experience the community for free. I have a bunch of things you can do. You can go to YouTube and subscribe, because we show, I don't know what's up to now, maybe 400 deals. It's a few hundred. So make sure you subscribe to that, because in there we have different play stations, if you will. And one is Deal Structure Sunday. And we post a deal every Sunday since, 2018. And then we have Q&A Thursday, and we have, Q&A Thursday and Motivational Monday. Yeah, so subscribe to YouTube. It's free. Now, if you want to experience it a little bit deeper, take my free master's class. It's pre-recorded. No one's going to bug you. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/PCMC. That stands for Podcast Masterclass. So smartrealestatecoach.com/PCMC. If you could deal with me, I go rather quickly, as you can tell, in my New England accent. You will get some great content there. I think it's about 55 minutes. Okay. It'll bring you through a little bit more A through Z, where today I was just kind of riffing on some topics. You can also, instead of that, attend a little bit longer one live, and we call that the Wicked Smart Workshop. And guess what? It's free. I want to get you exposed to this stuff for free, because when you open your eyes to this, I know it's going to intrigue you at some level. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/PCWS for workshop. smartrealestatecoach.com/PCWS. Okay. That'll be myself or my son-in-law, Zach, typically conducting those. I believe literally today, as of the day of this filming, I'm doing a live one. I think I said that earlier. All right. By the way, I should have expanded on this and then I'll wrap up. Why is experience in that sort of that interactive approach important? I'll just leave it at that. Well, let me give you 3 or 4 examples top of mind from the last week. Jessica, on a high 6 call, she's what we call a high 6 associate with us, had a lead, and she talked to them, and she said, okay, the seller said this, and I said this. In between me and the coaches, we said, go back and get these things, boom, 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 and record the call and send it to us. She did that, and the call went swimmingly well. Why? Because she was very scripted. Okay, Paul, who's an attorney, but he's a trust and estate attorney, and so real estate's new to him. He was on the high 6 call. Same thing. Went over a deal with us, and we said, Paul, go ask this, this, and this. After he did it and recorded it and sent it to me, I said, Paul, I've never heard you so focused on a call, because we gave him the exact questions. Daily curveballs. I was taking a hike last week, literally on a hike on a weekend. And one of our members in Maine, Judy, called me and said, "Oh, Chris, I got this squirrely deal." And here's what the seller said. It was a deal she had an agreement. I basically gave her all the stuff to do. She called the gentleman back, went pretty well, enough to spark another call, and then I called them. That's what we do. We will call buyers and sellers for you when it's appropriate, or we're directing you exactly what to say, or both. And again, I mentioned earlier the credibility of the SFREA, and you can say, in addition to the SFREA, the Creative Financing Real Estate Association, you can and should say, "Hey, I'm part of a community. We are the foremost experts in the nation on creative financing." That's pretty cool. All right. So I could keep going on that. I mentioned earlier before I wrap up that I would do two things. I would give you some deals we're closing out, and then I'll give you some of the links if I was remiss and didn't give you some. I'll think through that, what I already gave you. So I told you we have a deal closing. As of this filming, it's next week. So this will be in the past now on 223. It's in Maryland, and the payday 3 is over $300,000. On 227, we have a deal in, Rhode Island that I started way back several years ago. That payday 3 is a little smaller. It's like 25 grand. And in just a week or so from you seeing this released, we have a deal in Connecticut closing at like 45 or 46 grand. If you come on the workshops, you'll see some of these HUD-1 settlement statements, okay? I will tell you what I opened with, and I'll wrap up. You will be blown away in 7 to 10 years what you can create here. I promise you that. If you get after it now and take advantage for the next couple years, what is out there in the market for an uncertainty climate right now. This is a prime time in my 33 years, the best for creative real estate. Now, what else could you do? Maybe I told you I'd give you links. I only have one more link for you. Okay. And that is to immerse yourself with us for a 2 or 3 day event, but it's virtual. Now, why is that cool? That's cool because if you schedule it now, every single one of you can and should be there because it's virtual. You block yourself away. You act like you have an important health doctor's appointment, and you immerse yourself in what could be a life-changing experience virtually. It's called the Wicked Smart Summit. It's this month, March. It's, I believe, the 20th to the 22nd, but please go to wickedsmartsummit.com. You can get the details. But to register, and I want to give you a 50% off ticket. It's a cheap ticket anyway, but I'll give you a 50% off code. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/summit, and then use the code podcast50. Podcast50, all lowercase, podcast50. That's your coupon code to check out. Okay. All right. That wraps up our solocast together, guys. And I gave you, 5 or 6 different links just because it was appropriate as I went through the material. All I can urge you to do, I start all the shows that I have solocast with saying, my goal is to empower you in some shape, form, or fashion and take action. You've heard me say that a lot if you're a listener. Well, I will ask you now, I will invite you now to take action on those links I gave you. I think if there were 6 or so, I don't know how many there were, 5 were free. And I just gave you an event you can come to for half price. So 5 or 6 for free and 1 was half price. I encourage you to jump on that big time. I look forward to meeting you in person. This will be a time, if you choose to, where you look back in March of 25 and say, in March of 24, just 12 months ago, I heard this podcast, I took action, and wow, what a difference my life is right now. Because that's what students are saying. We had an office visit recently, and Judy sat there and said, I got to tell you guys, she just said it as what we call a positive focus as we start a meeting. Someone gives a positive thought, and she said, I got to tell you, where I am now compared to a year ago, it blew me away to even think about it this morning, is what she said, something along those lines. So I encourage you to do that, and I look forward to seeing you on the virtual event here coming up in just a few weeks. Make it an outstanding week. Thanks for hanging out with me for another Solocast.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you're ready to invest in yourself and take your investing to the next level, check out our 90-day Jumpstart program by going to smartrealestatecoach.com/jump. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/jump, because now is the time to act boldly in this unprecedented market shift.